Oh, killy dokily. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to join. ETC. We got a couple people watching on YouTube. Hello, guys. Give me a hey in the chat if you're watching. Just going to give it a few seconds to let people get on up. Okay. Any second now. Hello, Archangelo. How's it going? Thank you so much for joining. We are breaking down Disguise today. We did Swim last week and it was real fun and kind of interesting for me as well, actually. It kind of it turned into a bit of an artist development kind of video in the end, as well as a production lesson, but we also discovered a lot. We'll give it till 5 past, and then we'll get crack-a-lacking. I've got my coffee in my mug. I was going to say it's a German mug. I don't think it is. Hello, Ethan and Lula over on TikTok, and William. Just letting a few people join before we do our live breakdown of Disguise. Hello, how's it going? Okay, I guess we'll get started. Hello, SOCKiTTOME. Today we are doing what I've called the series How I Made, and this is a breakdown of my song Disguise, where I will be going through the production, the lyrics, the meaning of the song, and effectively answering any questions that you guys might have about the song. Thank you. You know what? This was my uncle's, and I completely forgot I had it, and I've started using it the last few weeks, and I do love it. It's got a very like old smell to it. Um, yeah, please do if you have any questions or you think anyone would be interested in learning a bit about production or is just a fan of my music. Send this their way. Share the live stream to those people. We are going to be going through every little detail. For those of you who don't know or you've just joined for some reason, I'm SOCKiTTOME, and this song just hit. It's getting like it's a bit confusing because I did a radio edit and a regular version, and collectively we've got over 2 million streams on this song. So let's see how 2 million streams is made, I guess. Pretty exciting. So, I guess to begin with, the first thing I can think of is to break down Disguise, where the name came from and where that all came about. When I was writing this, so back in about 2022, no, 2022, so quite a while ago, and I think it was one of the last songs I wrote before releasing or beginning to release the album Safety and Jumpers, but went on to become the first single off the album. It was There was a couple of reasons why, like there was part of me. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a massive fan of the band called REM. Marshmallow over on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining. How is it going? Um, I am a massive fan of REM, and one of their last albums was called Accelerate, and they had a song called Supernatural, Super Serious, I think it's called. But originally, the song was going to be called Disguise, and I think his name's Gary Lightbody, who's the lead singer of Snow Patrol, said, "That's not a good name for a song. You should call it Supernatural Super Serious, because that's what they say a lot in the song." And yeah, I know, 2022. It was a while ago, 4 years ago. It's crazy. And yeah, I think off the back of that, I was like, it would be really cool to write a song called Disguise and have that very small Easter egg, at least for me, that it was originally going to be an REM song or something. On top of that, when I was writing the lyrics for the song, a lot of things were coming out about various people in the media. I think, in particular, Justin Roiland, who voices like Rick and Morty, had a load of allegations come out against him. And in particular, him, I was like, just really disappointed in quite a few people. And that kind of shaped the idea of what the song is about, as far as everyone is wearing We back. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out TikTok. I do apologize. I'm so sorry, guys. Wouldn't be a stream without something going wrong with it. Right. Well, I'm really hoping that that wasn't a waste of time, and you guys did hear the song. We're back live on TikTok again. I think the camera overheated, which is crazy because it's actually a bit cooler today, and I've got a fan on the camera, got windows open, yada yada, shabba shabba. But hey, I think TikTok's actually running smoother now. Craziness. So that was disguise. Again, I'm hoping you guys heard that. Um, it's more complicated than it sounds. There's a lot of lines of audio. I guess the first thing to start off with is the intro. The intro, ironically, the last thing I did when I wrote this song, Everybody's in their own disguise. I really, I'm not great at intros, and more often than not, I will start with like a sound effect or just a snare drum when we come in. I just copy and pasted the chorus line to the beginning of the song. I was like, that sounds cool. You're straight in your face with some music, I guess. I'm praying that we have some good connection with this. So, take a listen to I heard that name, Jane Doe and him. It's not 1963, my TV's color. I wanna say so many vocals. Jane Doe and him. It's not 1963, my TV's color. I wanna say these days some people might have changed, but anyway, I'll be the same. Just tell me why. I heard that name. Now, this, as I said, is an older project, but as you can tell, there are several effects at play on this particular vocal. I also had a lot of like call and responses. So originally, I think the actual vocal was shifted over by about a bar. And it sounded probably, I guess, like... How do we do this? Heard that name, Jane Doe and him. So there's that call and response vocal going in the background. I don't know if you can hear it, this one. I heard that name, Jane Doe. It's not 1963. Thanks, sis. I want to say that originally was where the vocal was placed, and then I ended up creating that into like this call and response between the two vocals. I heard that name, Jane Doe and him. It's not 1963. I fretted over this section of the song for days. I wouldn't be surprised. I'll have to check. But I'm not going to have the old vocals in here, am I? There were so many ideas that I had when writing that first verse, and none of them sounded very good at all. Um, I remember writing the. Is it this section? Yeah. I say Auf Wiedersehen, and I'd always wanted to put another language in a song, and that was something that I insisted on myself to include. And not ironically, I feel like because that was the first single I put out off the album, and I could put that I had German in there, it really connected me with a German fan base, which is really weird. It's cool. The only downside is I really haven't performed in Germany yet, and I need to get out there and do that. I'll give you an idea of what all the vocals sound like together. I heard that name, Jane Doe, and him. It's not 1963, my TV's color. I wanna say these days, some people might have changed, but anyway, Auf Wiedersehen, just tell me why. Take it out. I heard that name, Jane Doe, and him. Won't stop. It's funny because when I was breaking down Swim, I was like, this song's so simple. There's really not much to say about it. And then I spoke for 2 hours straight. And this one was such a long journey, and I can't think of anything in particular to say. I mean, I was at the time of writing this song, I was really into pitching vocals, and it's the sort of thing that when I would do that with like other songs or show these ideas to friends or family, they would always say, "I don't like that squeaky vocal. I don't like that part," and I'm like, "That's the best bit. That sounds so cool to me." It always excited me to be able to like do something you can't do live, but downside is now I'm performing live, and this is really hard to recreate. So if you look at this vocal, I've got down the left side of the screen, we have what are known as plugins, which are effectively effects that you can apply to a chosen line of audio. In this case, I've got EQ. More often than not, I'm applying a few things. Sorry, Marshmallow. Yeah, I will probably apply a few layers of EQ on a track. It really depends. Usually at the beginning, I will roll off all the low ends. So in this case, I'll give you a visual representation, because the really cool thing with doing any equalization is that you can actually see where the vocal is falling across the frequency. So as you can see, these are my vocals. Some like peaks here around 200k. But down here, below, what have we got? Below 130 hertz, there's just really not a lot of information going on. And maybe I'd approach this differently now, but at the time, I was in a mindset of like, get rid of anything we don't need. I'm getting rid of everything below that so we can make space for the bass. Space for the bass. I would do that on every track, whether it's a guitar, a vocal, not drums, and not bass, but I would roll off anything going on below where there's any real information. A compressor. My best friend in the world is a compressor. I am, especially at the time, a bit crazy with the compressors. I apply a hell of a lot. Judge me if you will. My mindset is always, you can't go wrong. If you like how it sounds, that's all you've got, right? That's if you're writing music or creating any form of art, you've got to know what you like. And hey, we got 2 million streams, so I can't be too wrong. Some hot compression on there. A plugin called Nectar. This is one of the few plugins that I use that is actually paid for, but it is one of my favorite plugins. I just don't know why. I love the sound of it. I have a bit of auto tune on there. You can use this thing called the Vocal Assistant, and that just gives you a place to start when mixing a vocal, because it just suggests, oh, you can get rid of these standing waves in the vocals, in the EQ, sorry, add a de-esser. these, again, at the time, I was less sure about how to use these plugins, and now I would probably get rid of a bunch and just apply my own. And yeah, this is if you hear for the swim live stream, I also used something called this harmony plugin, which effectively doubles the vocal without you having to record it 3 times.
I heard that name.
So that's what it sounds like with the effect.
It's not 1963, my TV's color.
So there's one vocal.
These days.
And then it adds a couple extras. It's pretty cool. Probably now I would just record a couple more vocals. I prefer doing everything myself if I can. What else? 2 little radiators. Now these plugins are kind of expensive. However, if you sign up to the mailing list, every so often they just give one for free, and I got this one for free, and I just love the distortion that you get from that. It's just a really nice saturation. Marshmallow, what does a compressor do? That's a very good question. So, here's a compressor. There are so many different types of compressor, but they all do the same thing. What you get when you use a compressor is, make sure that mic's close to my mouth. A compressor brings up all the quiet areas of a track and brings down the louder areas of the track. So imagine you have a line of audio and it's quite low. Maybe you're just breathing or chewing on a sandwich. And then you start singing and it's all up here. You've got, whoa, it suddenly got very loud. A compressor is going to bring up anything that isn't as loud as that loudest moment. A good representation or visual representation of that, you can kind of see. So if you look here on my compressor plugin, you've got this sort of graph. And this, I think that's what you call the knee, just here. That is where the compressor makes less effect. So down here, everything's going to get pushed up towards this level. In layman's terms, compressors make everything the same volume. If you really push the compressor, it's going to make every part of your audio as loud as the loudest part. People like me or anyone in music generally are using that because they want to just get all the richness out of the vocal, because the lower tones in your voice aren't always going to be as loud as those mid tones. You're not always going to put the same emphasis on each word. It's kind of like a little bit of glue that holds the mix together. Hopefully that makes sense. Compressors are one of those things that it took a long time for me to fully understand, and will probably take me a lot longer to know how to explain them properly. But that is a compressor in a nutshell. Things like these dials. An attack is how fast that compressor is going to kick in when a vocal comes in, or when some audio comes in. The release is how quickly it's going to stop applying that compression to the audio once the audio stops. Makeup, that is how much you just want to boost the overall volume. So you can it's effectively turning it up. The ratio is how much loudness to compression you want. And then threshold is where it's going to kick in. How loud does that sound have to be before the compressor starts working? Sounds a lot more complicated than it is. It's the sort of thing that if you record music, you can play around with it for a very long time to get the results you want. Yeah, we've got a Little Radiator. Again, a free plugin that I got by signing up to Sound Toys. They do some great plugins. They're very expensive, but you can get them for free if you're a little nifty like me. It's a bit crazy. I've used 2. I'm not sure why I've done that. And then, finally, on the vocal chain, we have Fresh Air. So right, Marshmallow. Fresh Air is an incredible plugin. If you're a producer, I highly recommend getting it. It's free. It's by a company called... What's the company called? Slate Digital. go to Slate Digital, download this free plugin. It just brings out so much sparkle, so much high end. It's basically a what they call an exciter, and it's just boosting all the high ends of that audio, and it's great for vocals. It's so good. I'll show you. I'll give you a demonstration. So
I heard that name, Jane Doe and him. It's not 1963, my TV's color.
So this is the
I wanna
vocal
say these
with fresh
days
air.
that some people might have changed, but anyway, auf Wiedersehen.
That's it without.
Just tell me why.
Can you hear how dull that
I
sounds?
heard that name,
And then bring it back
Jane
in.
Doe and him. It's not 1960.
Might be the sort of thing that you can't hear unless you have headphones on. But, mwah, so good. Honestly, it makes such a difference to those vocals. And is great for pop production, I'd say. It's maybe not going to work if you're making niche subgenres of indie music or whatever genre you're making. But yeah. What else? So we've got quite a few things. This is a very guitar-based song. And I kind of... A little bit of a backstory here. So let's go. Where have we got the guitars? Yeah, some people are going to be like, what? Why would you do that? These are the isolated guitars. Yeah, backstory. When I was writing this album, I was getting into something called sync music, which is effectively writing music for media like TV, radio, whatever media is needed. And one thing you learn when you start doing that is you've got to do very polished recordings. Even when it comes to guitar, I am trying to get no string buzz. I'm trying to get the perfect pitch on those instruments so that it's just very polished and produced probably too much. And I was just applying that mindset on this. I recorded each part individually. We even have, so there's something called a compound third, which is this. You have the root note. That would be a major compound third, but it's those two notes basically. And I have used that for so many songs. If you listen to Disguise, it's... If you listen to Run Run, it's... Say I'm Not Sorry. I would not be surprised if I think, yeah, You Are My Fire. I have used it in almost everything. It just sounds really, really gorgeous. And something I learned whilst doing Dumb Diddy was you could make that a really wide sound if you recorded that root note on one string and then the compound third element on a separate track and then pan them. Let's go back to the chorus a second because I think that's more at play there. Yeah, you can hear it. I've called it a tenth, but a tenth is the same as a compound third. I won't get into the theory of that. So... So if you're listening in headphones, you can hear that in each ear. It's like been... It hasn't... What? Oh, it has. Whoa, okay. Okay, so I've gone really out there with this. I didn't know. I did not realize I did this, but this is interesting. A very interesting choice. So what I've done is I've got a plugin here called Shaperbox. I've really utilized all the plugins that I've ever downloaded here. It would seem. Shaperbox is a paid one, but it's super cheap and it can do a lot. It can do so much, so many cool automation tricks. But on here, what I've done is I have programmed the guitar to go from partially to your left to further to your left, and it's just repeating that motion every 4 bars. So that line indicates it traveling further into the left field. And it would seem that I've done that with that guitar, and then with the right ear, we've got panning over to the right. I would imagine I did that to create some sort of movement in the track, and it's kind of cool. Surprising. I'm surprising myself. What else we got? Oh, we got a whole bunch of synths. This is probably around the time I discovered something called arpeggiators, which are quite fun. They allow you to put in a chord, like if you're on if you play a chord on the piano, get 3 notes, you can just play those out, and then it will just automate those notes into a selective pattern. So I went crazy with arpeggiators on the song. There are so many going on. What else? We got this one as well. Hello, help, there's so many bees. Thanks for joining again today. I really layered up so many things because we've got Oh, sure, Susie. Thank you for pointing that out. Let me sort that. Wah. Hello. Is that any better for you guys? Yay. I love keeping people company, and you're keeping me company. Archangelo, very, very whimsical synths there. Yeah, I had this thing where I was really trying to layer everything up. Maybe too much. I don't know. Again, I don't know. I don't think I went wrong. You can't go wrong with these things. I have this sound. So I originally wanted this to be like quite an emphasized moment. And there's a song by Alt J called Breeze Blocks where they go la 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 la, or yeah. She may contain the earth. She went away, but hold on, something close a breeze box. La 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 la. Yeah, I think I just wanted that sort of sound. And I've got me going la la la. I've got a guitar going da 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 da, and I've got a synth going da na 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 na. Everything is copying that. So we got. It's a great song. Great song. Highly recommend checking it out. Da 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 na 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 na. We've got this one. We've got this one. We've got this one. It looks like I've added the 5th on top of that as well. Guitar. Guitar doing the harmony there. A bunch of reverse guitars. And of course, me going la 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 la. Yeah. I layered it up like a nice pizza. Like a good old onion. Wah, 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 wah. And all together, it sounded something like this. I wouldn't say it sounds as busy as it should be, like with all of those different elements going on. But it's definitely, it does something. It does something. That's what I say. So moving on from the verse and the vocals and guitar. Oh, bass. Okay, so I said for this with Swim as well. I've not heard of Victor Jones. No, I'll definitely check him out. They're a singer, I'm guessing. I think I was in some sort of state where I no longer wanted to play bass, or the bass was just too far on the other side of the room that I was so lazy I wouldn't pick it up. And a lot of these songs, not all of them, I've resorted to using what's known as MIDI. And I went to town on, I went to Funky Town as well. Went because some of these parts are like really like dunk, 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 dunk. Let me show you. Funky. Help, there's so many beats. Oh, I will definitely check them out. Victor, what was his name? Victor Jones. I'll check him out. Yeah, so I didn't, that's not actually a real bass. That is an electronic instrument. But now, obviously, when we play live, we have a bassist, and it's great, and it probably sounds a hell of a lot better. One thing I know that also took me a while is this pre-chorus. There are several vocals, and it was a long process to get these. I'll give you a play of those.
Take it out on the ones that you love, and you know that it hurts, 'cause there's trust and it breaks, so take time.
Loads. So if you break them, if you look at those individually, haven't labeled them. Classic.
Take it out on the ones that you love, and you know that it hurts.
So that's the octave up and a harmony. Then I've doubled that.
Take time. Take it out on the ones that you love.
Another harmony.
That it hurt, 'cause there's trust and it breaks, so take time.
And then we've also got.
Take it out on the ones.
So we've also got two doubles of that main vocal. So what I've done there is lead vocal, two doubles, two more vocals with the harmony, and then another two doing an octave up, or just maybe that, like another harmony above the third. Which sounds really nice. You might think, oh, sucky. Double it, give it the next one, keep doubling up. When I played that, you may have noticed it's a bit like choppy, or the ends of sentences were cut off, which obviously by itself doesn't sound great. That would be really jarring in a song.
Take it out on the ones that you love, and you know that it hurts, 'cause there's trust and it breaks, so take time.
More in those harmonies, I think.
Take it out on the ones that you love, and you know that it hurts, 'cause there's trust and it.
What I've done there is, so like when I say, and it hurts, it's very common that you want to cut off that tss, because it's called sibilance, but that noise is a very harsh sound. And it really cuts through in a song or in a mix. And to avoid that being like crazy loud, if you've got like 10 vocals stacked, all going tss at the same time, it's just gonna like hurt your ears. It's not gonna be nice, and it's not a pleasant sound. So what you want to do, or what I've done in this case, is I've cut that off, all the harmonies, and then the lead vocal can shine through and sound natural with the take it out on the ones that you love, and you know that it hurts, and it's not gonna sound like I'm hissing in your ear like a crazy snake. It's a trick worth trying if you're doing a lot of vocal layers. There is also something called a de-esser, which is a pretty appropriate name, really, isn't it? It is. It's interesting. Yes, this noise, terrible noise. I bet you hate this. Oh, thank you, Angela. There's so many. It's always fun to like go back into these and just look at the individual lines of audio. Yeah, you can use something called a de-esser, which automatically cuts out that sibilance. But I can show you a demonstration. If you take too much sibilance out, it starts making it sound like you have a lisp. Right? You'd think, oh, you'd get rid of the S, so how could you have a lisp? Well, I'll show you. Where is it? Dynamics, de-esser. So
Out on the ones that you love, and you know that it hurts, 'cause there's trust.
if I put this
And you
right
know
up,
that it hurts, 'cause there's trust, and it breaks. And you know that it hurts, 'cause there's trust, and it breaks. And you know that it hurts, 'cause there's trust, and it breaks. And you know that it hurts, 'cause there's trust, and it breaks. And you know that it hurts, 'cause there's trust,
Wait, what?
and it breaks. And you know that it hurts, 'cause there's trust, and it breaks. And you know that it hurts, 'cause
it's bad, isn't it? I can't remember how to use a de-esser. I've not used that one in ages. It would make it sound like you got less because it's like, and you know that it hurts. It turns the "s" into a "th" kind of sound. KK over on TikTok, what's the song about? That's a good question. Well, at the beginning of the stream, I did kind of summarize this, but in case anyone missed it, the song was written about people, particularly in the media, and people maybe we idolize, like false idols, how they portray themselves in a certain way, and it's all kind of a facade there. But to an extent, we're all wearing a disguise to hide our real selves. You know, we put on a front to maybe impress people, or because we're insecure. Specifically in this song, I was writing it about how this guy, Justin Roiland, who did the voice of Rick and Morty, he was one of a few people at the time. The suddenly just all these allegations came out against them, including like SA and all kinds of horrendous stuff. And it was just like shattered that illusion, because I also felt like a lot of my beliefs aligned with that person. And that was just kind of channeled through the song. It's a weird one, because I didn't think I felt that strongly specifically about Justin Roiland, for Christ's sake. But it's surprising what comes out when you're writing a song and just naturally flows. And I think I kind of put it down to that. But then at the same time, when this song did eventually come out, I was going through a breakup, and I think that can feel like an illusion being shattered. Like the person that you were dating maybe isn't that person anymore, because you feel like they don't love you anymore, or that they don't care about you. So yeah, that's what it meant to me, at least. But you know, that's the great thing with music, is that everyone can have their own interpretation. De-esser, I hardly know it. So yeah, that's really what the song is about. I will do a lyric breakdown at the end and go through all the lyrics like I did with Swim, if anyone's interested in hearing that. So a whole bunch of vocals. I was always really proud as well of, we have, like, I do transitions in each section, but this little
just tell me why, take it out.
I was, because it only happens in the transitions, and it's the sort of thing you don't think about so much unless you're jamming in a band. You do that, and it's kind of more of a natural process. But figuring out how to do that in software felt like a level up for me at that time. Let's take a listen to the chorus. Nope, doesn't want us to. Mac say? Macintoshes. I don't know how many vocals are on this part. Let's take a listen to the isolated vocals. There's loads.
My shake and decide if it's too late to grow up inside. My heart breaks every time. Everybody's in their own disguise.
Yeah, quite a few different ones going on there. I don't know what the harmonies are.
Shake and decide if it's too late to grow up inside. My heart breaks every time. Everybody's in their own disguise.
You've listened to the CD 5 times. That's in KK. That means the world to me. And that means you're listening to it in the order that I meant it to, because I didn't get to release it in the order I intended. Oh, I'm so glad. That does mean a lot to me. I do. So the vocals on here, the chorus seems to be more simple than the rest of the song, which usually is the other way around, and you sort of increase the layers. But I have this insanely high vocal.
Shake and decide if it's too late to grow up inside. Heart breaks every time. Everybody's in their own disguise. Shake and decide if it's too late to grow up inside. Heart breaks every time.
Not the highest vocal I've done. In some of the newer songs that I've been writing as well, there's like some really high ones, and it's been really hard to like get my vocal range up there. I wonder what. Astrios over on YouTube just asked me about the jumper. So that's a big question. The jumper was something I made for the album. I made it myself. It was before I started writing the album. I had the idea for the name Safety and Jumpers, and I'd always envisaged it as me on the cover, was like a massive jumper. And at the time, I'd not really released much music, and it felt like releasing an album or like releasing a big project like that would require a label and a massive amount of backing and, you know, a whole team. And I thought, this is never going to happen unless I figure out how to do it by myself. And then that might encourage people to join or like inspire people to get involved. So I thought, I'll just have to make a jumper. I'll learn to sew and I'll figure out what I got to do along the way. And I recorded a hell of a lot of content of me making this jumper as well, because I wanted it to be all practical and stuff. And this was, I say long before AI, but like it felt like a long time before AI. This is, again, 2022, 23. But I always loved like the practical look of these things and the fact that it could be something real. And all the singles are different embroidered patches that resemble each of the songs in some shape or form. And the idea is that those patches go on this big jumper. And they're kind of like scouts badges, or, you know, with the scouts, they achieve something, and these sort of patches that resemble them overcoming something. And I thought, oh, like emotional or emotional badges for like conquering a bad breakup or getting over your fear or something, or falling in love. That was the vague theme I was following. So the jumper is just something I made, and it was all part of the combined vision. Unfortunately, when I was making the jumper, most of the content that got filmed was by my girlfriend at the time, and all of it was on her phone. So when it came to the promotion campaign, it wasn't really featured at all, which sucks, because that was the crux of the whole project. So it just looks maybe a bit ambiguous now. Yeah, I can get the jumper out at the end of the stream if you guys want to see it. Help, there's so many bees. Do some crochet. Do some crocheting. I felt very satisfying to learn how to sew, because I'd never done it in my life. And learning to like stitch the logo. The only thing I didn't do myself was the embroidered patches, which I designed and then sent off to this like little independent company in Wales that made them all for me. But it required a more specific set of skills or equipment. But yeah, it was always supposed to be just a giant jumper. Also, lockdown, safety in numbers is the phrase that's playing off of. Safety in jumpers felt like kind of the mindset we were all in during lockdown, where we were just we felt safe in our homes and with a big jumper on and stuff, and it just felt right. Wales mentioned. I lived in Wales for 5 years. Oh, you're an essential worker. That must have been really hard. I mean, I had just left my job as we went into lockdown, but a lot of my family were essential workers, and they just had to continue working as usual. I lived in a place called, well, it's just outside Lampeter, if you know Lampeter. You do know Lampeter? Okay, well, I specifically lived in Llanfair Clydogau. Oh, you live in Aberystwyth? Okay, about 45 minutes away. You're in school. Whew. Did you still have to go into school even though it was locked down? Oh, I had no idea. You may have already seen me. I played loads of gigs. I played in Aberystwyth a whole bunch of times. Even when I started releasing music as Sock It To Me. I know it ends in goch goch, KK, but yeah, it's a shame, but hey, these things happen. Right, where are we up to? So after the first chorus and after every chorus we go into a section which I refer to as the tag, I believe that's what it's called. And I remember this being the part that really excited me. Because I don't know if I'd done a tag before, and it felt like something. The great thing about a tag, especially like everybody's in their own disguise. Everybody's in their own disguise. Something like an ooh in that moment it transcends language, because anyone can go ooh 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 and know that it doesn't really mean anything. The whole thing excited me. And I think I followed suit with the other part of the vocal where we just got these high ones going on. Ooh. I mean, there's no way I could have sung that, but that has just got a pitch shift on it. And some echo and some reverb and stuff. Yeah. Pretty high. I challenge anyone watching right now to try and sing as high as that without pitch correction. So in the second verse, I do this like thing where the kick drum follows the rhythm of the song. So I saw on screen your face in I was clapping along, Logic. I saw on screen your face in me. Forget that in between machines your trouble. I wanna say these days. Which is cool. But most of the ideas in the verses came about from me constantly doubting the quality of the song. Like, I could not settle on an idea, and I kept getting, like, I got to the second verse and I was like, it just doesn't sound good enough, or like there's not a moment here, it's just repeating. And that's kind of why I made that decision. A classic Sock It To Me, but in tune. I love this. This was my first attempt at doing one of these moments. And it didn't sound bad, but when I did it in Swim, mwah, I feel like that was the most perfectly executed or whatever that I've ever done. I was so pleased with that. Uh, Archangelo, yeah. Little Alvin and Chipmunks to spice up the tune. MC Bosch, I need to see this attempt. Um, Another thing I mentioned in previous stream with Swim is that I am not a drummer. Surprise, surprise. I don't have a drum kit. Played one very little, and I wouldn't have the space or the money for it anyway. So what I use are samples that I've got online. There's a few. This is that is a sample that I've used in all my tracks. It's just a kick drum, and I've always loved it. I just love the sound. It's kind of got a vinyl crackle to it as well. Kick and a snare. And then I've got a few other bits that I've chopped up by the looks of it. So what's this? That's a whole mixture. So we've got a cocktail stick shaker, tambourine, a couple fills, and then a bunch of effects. Another thing when I was going through producing this album, which isn't something that like everyone does, is very anal with me. Like I tuned all the drums in the songs. I don't know if it's in this project, but I would go through and make sure even the kick drum was in tune with the chord that was playing. And very occasionally I'd do that with the snare drum, which I don't think I did in this track, but I have got a tuned snare here, which presumably is just in key of the song. You might think, what's the point in that? Truthfully, I believe when everything's working together in a cohesive way like that, say the song is in G or you're playing a G chord and that kick drum's playing a G, even if it's super low in the mix or it's subby, whatever it is, when everything's working together, that's making space somewhere else for something else to shine through. And that's what I'd always be telling myself when I produce these. We may be talking about a very small amount of space, but when you're working with audio and what you want it to shine through and what you want people to hear, it's all super valuable real estate. And you know, it's just there waiting for you to grab it if you're willing to take the time to make the space. Instrumental. I always hated guitar solos. For some reason, with a few songs on this album, I threw Caution to the Wind and I threw a guitar solo in. It just felt right, and I wanted to throw something in there. They're not like me shredding, and they're very melodic, and I'm not a massive fan of a guitar solo following the lead vocal or something, like Nirvana kind of stuff. Nirvana are great, but it's not my cup of tea. But once again, SOCKiTTOME decided he wanted to overcomplicate things. He didn't want to just play guitar once. He wanted to record it so many times and pitch shift it and add millions of effects. Because I'm crazy. I'm so crazy, apparently. So, these are little folders. If you look here on the slight left of the screen, we've got their track stacks. And I've got 3 different ones building up that one guitar solo, which seems crazy. What have we got? So So that is an octave down that I'm playing it on the guitar, and I don't think I've pitched it. I've just played that, added a bunch of effects. We got the main one, the lead. Which is quite like a thin sounding one. I'm guessing I wanted that to be the one that like cut through and was on top. And then lastly, we've got the ambient one. I'm not even sure what this is. Oh, it's an ambient one. And then you put that all together. Sounds pretty cool. Cuts through. Did the job, but my goodness. That's a lot of layers. Especially when you consider all the guitars together. Yeah. I didn't even realize we've got these extra bass synths as well going on. Why are these on? These shouldn't be on. And then we go back to the chorus.
Take a little bit of my shape in the side. It's to let you go up inside. Heartbreaks every time. Everybody's in the side. My shape in the side. It's to let you go up inside. Heartbreaks every time. Everybody's in the sky.
There's kind of like an unspoken rule with pop music, at least, where you kind of want to introduce something new in each section. And more often than not, you get to the last chorus and you're running out of room desperately, but you want it to be different than the one before it. So it doesn't feel like you're wasting people's time with too much repetition. I added some random guitar parts, which I don't know how well you can hear, but in headphones it's a lot more obvious. Which I may as well show you guys because it's the only opportunity I'll get to.
Everybody's in the room. Everybody's in the room.
Where are you?
Everybody's in the room. Everybody's in the room. Everybody's in the room. Everybody's in the room.
Oh yeah, it's just a little licky lick. It's like a harmony of that main, like, my say can decide. Pretty. A random little pretty bit. That's kind of the whole song. Kind of shocked, really, because I built this up to be a very complicated track, but there's only so much I can really break down about each section. I mean, obviously, if you guys have any questions about the production or specific parts or want to hear anything, let me know. But it's really not that. I think I got rid of so much stuff during the process that it's pretty stripped back. I can take a look at the mastering chain very quickly because, as I said in the last stream, a lot of people produce all their own music and then they get to the mastering stage and they get a bit lost or they don't know what to do. And it's really important that you can learn how to do these things yourself and continue to be independent. I use a plugin. One of the few plugins that I pay for called Ozone. And Ozone is from a company called Isotope. Cracking bunch of plugins. Great thing about this is I won't click it because it will just ruin all of this, but you have the assistant, which gives you a starting point. So you can let it scan your song, and then it like helps pick out a few options for you as far as these little nubbins that are in the project. We've got an equalizer on that mastering chain, stabilizer to tame some of the transients and like just help with the general flow of the song. A lot of these are just compressors to varying degrees, compressing different like frequencies. So you're applying it. A typical compressor is just across the board. It applies to the whole track of audio. This you're able to like lock in with different sections. Imager, that's like your stereo field. Brings it out, makes it feel wider or bigger. Really fun part to use, but when you're dealing with stereo field, you're probably, again, another like unspoken rule, a general rule, sorry, but you know, people do whatever they want. Like Billie Eilish doesn't do this, I don't think, but bass is usually centered, so you get like all the bass, and it's like your foundation, and then the higher the frequencies you want to pan out to the sides. And I have done the opposite here, but I'm guessing that's because of the way I mixed it, and then I've tried to reverse some of that process. EQ, again, I said it in the last stream, controversial maybe, but I like to roll off the lower 20 hertz in a song usually, because I don't really think there's any information worth having, at least in my genre of music. Everything below 20 hertz is basically inaudible. It's just not really there, and I'm not really focusing on that area. So if I can make some space, then I'll so be it. I will. And then we got the maximizer, which is the limiter, and the limiter is the thing that really pieces a master together, because you are putting that cap on the song. You're saying you can't go louder than this. If you're going louder than that, you're probably going to get distortion. A great little tip I recommend is this ceiling. You want to have a ceiling of like -1 dB on your masters. You can still have an insanely loud mix, but putting that 1 dB buffer is going to prevent any distortion that may occur when it's being like, I don't know if it's called like recoded, but when something turns into when you convert it to an MP3 file, sometimes it can push over into that additional space that you need. So I always recommend giving yourself at least 1 dB, well, probably 1 dB of headroom. Super quick overview of a master chain. I'm not sure, like, I could do a whole stream on mastering. That is just a little view of what I've got on mine. What I was going to take us over to the lyric page, so we can go through the lyrics. Oh no, not that one. Here we go. Sorry, guys. I have to admit, I've been a bit asleep today. I think I got about 4 hours sleep last night. I was wide awake. I don't know if it was because we were playing that last episode of Life is Strange, but I was wired as a supercomputer. I don't know. Disguise. I'm going to go this line by line. Thoroughly break this down, because why not? That's why we're here, right? Take a little bit for my sake and decide if it's too late to grow up inside. My heart breaks every time. Everybody's in their own disguise. Now, at this point in time, I'd probably like to change these lyrics a bit, just because the if it's too late to grow up inside doesn't quite say what I wanted to say. All I meant by this was, so going back to the topic of it being about like Justin Roiland, all these people who clearly live very different lives than they're portraying, and it's quite disgusting. I'm just saying, just take a second to think about your actions before you do something. Don't let it be too late to like just grow up and be a mature person or a mature adult in this situation. And then the next two lines are kind of self-explanatory. My heart breaks every time everybody's in their own disguise. It upsets me every time. It breaks my heart every time you discover someone's not who they really are, because they just haven't taken the time to think about the consequences of their actions and like just act appropriately. That's really all the chorus is saying, and that's what it's about. The verses are kind of literal. I heard that name, Jane Doe, and him. It's not 1963. My TV's color. So, pretty much a play-by-play of hearing that person's name on TV being announced as another person who's done some crappy thing and, you know, just like let us all down. Jane Doe is, maybe you already know, it's a name they use in the media for an unidentified victim of something. It would be John Doe or Jane Doe, depending on the gender, because apparently the media only knows two genders, it seems. But Jane Doe, yeah, would be applied to a female and would usually mean something bad's happened. So it's just a little interesting thing. It's not 1963, my TV's color. Me just trying to be kind of artsy-fartsy by saying, times have changed. Things are different now. Why are these still things happening? Why am I still seeing this on my TV? Like, in this day and age. Ridiculous. I want to say these days that some people might have changed. But anyway, auf Wiedersehen. Just tell me why. Enjambment. It's a fun word. It's a fun word that I learned at the time, which means in poetry or songwriting, when a line is continued on the same line. So as you can see here, usually when a song's written out, you have one line, then the next line, and the next line, and so on. Enjambment is this, where I say, just tell me, and then the next line starts on the same line. Does that make sense? Please let me know if you don't understand. But yeah, enjambment. So, because like I wanted that to be part of the pre-chorus like melody, and then tie directly into the pre-chorus. I want to say these days some people might change. There's not much you can do about it. Me being dismissive and just being like, but just tell me why. But just tell me why take it out on the ones you love. And you know that it hurts because there's trust and it breaks. So take time. Self-explanatory, really, isn't it? Why do it? Like, again, this kind of played into my whole like breakup situation when the song came out, because it's like the people you love the most are the people who are capable of hurting you the most, and they still do it. That's not to say that it's always intentional, and I'm not saying my ex is a bad person, but like you often hear about it in like the news, or it's like domestic abuse situations. You know, these are the closest people to you, whether it's family, like a family member or your husband, or it's usually men. I'd say it's almost always men. Surprise, surprise. That's all I'm saying. Why is that the case? Why is it that why is it that they're taking it out on the people they know they can hurt the most? Even with Justin Roiland, the person that he was accused by was his partner. It was like false imprisonment or something crazy. Why? You wouldn't dream of doing that to anyone, let alone someone you love so much. Anyway, we go back to the chorus. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, all that jazz. Really, this doesn't mean anything. It's just a tag. It's a nice little sing along moment. I saw on screen your face in me. Forget that in between the scenes, your trouble. Self explanatory again. Just me saying, you know, I saw myself in these people. You know, we do. There's when we see someone on TV or in a movie that we really feel like we connect with, it's more often to do with the fact that we see something of ourselves in them and we relate to them, and that's what brings that connection. It's pretty shattering. Like if they do something horrible, you're like, when you've been comparing yourself to that person. Get that in between the scenes, you're trouble. Just me saying scenes in between the scenes because it's like a movie. So fancy. When I say these days, some people might have changed. But anyway, make lemonade. So I didn't say Auf Wiedersehen. Make lemonade. Just to make that pre-chorus a little different. Go back to pre-chorus, take it out on the ones that you love. When you know that it hurts. Yada, yada, yada. So one common theme through all the songs on this album, most of the songs on this album, and it's what I said in most of the releases, is like the sound bite that I always say is I make sad songs for happy people, in that I think the songs generally are all much more serious topics. Obviously, this is a very serious topic that it's actually been inspired by. But and I think this again, it plays into the thing I was saying about the tag being just something we can all sing along to. Ooh, 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 transcends language barriers and schnitzel. But I think you can listen to these songs and you don't have to take in all that deeper meaning and stuff, and you can just have a boogie. They're quite fun, upbeat sounding songs. But at that core, there's always meaning. So if you are wanting to dig deeper or know more, or if you feel like you've had that connection, you don't have to worry about any embarrassment of thinking, oh, there's this cheesy pop song. No, there's actual meaning there, is what I tell myself, and that's what I'm telling you. Sad songs for happy people. Danny Brown, thank you so much for liking the live stream over on TikTok. That is pretty much the whole song. That's the whole song. I can't believe like how little. Like out of curiosity, did you guys have any uh, questions or thought? Not thoughts. Any questions that you'd like answering about the song, the lyrics, the production, the release, the artwork? Should have really had the artwork up on the screen during the project. What I did do last time in our last stream was I played the acoustic version, so we can always do that to round off the stream as well. Bing bong, bing 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 bing. I hope you're ready for this. The acoustic version of Disguise. If I can find it. I remember those verse high vocals being very high. We'll drop down to the bass. Pretty cool. I am trusting you guys can hear this on YouTube. Just crossed my mind. You can't hear the music on YouTube. Classic. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm a bit confused. Okay.
Not loving you back, keep telling myself I don't deserve things like that. Sometimes I just want you to myself, but there is always somebody else. I think I'm keeping these feelings from you, but I just know that everybody knew we're more than friends.
We've actually moved on to the
best thing that ever happened to me. I can't pretend. No, 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 not anymore. 'Cause you are the best thing. I don't want to be just friends, 'cause I don't want nobody else. I've got these thoughts going round my head, and I always kind of thought you knew. So take my hand and I'll be yours tonight. Let's do it, you know you want to. 'Cause I can't help, I want you more each night. Let's do it, you know you want to. Are the best thing. Yeah, you are the best thing. Yeah, you are the best thing. Yeah, you are the best thing. I can't help, I'll always want a little bit. No, I cannot help, I'll always want a little bit more. Dragged down.
I let that play
I've
out.
got myself.
Where the on YouTube you guys missed out on Disguise. Whoa.
Everybody's in their
Believe it or
own
not,
disguise.
there is a whole acoustic album version of this. I released it.
Take a little bit for my sake and decide if it's too late to grow up inside. My heart breaks every time. Everybody's in their own disguise. I heard that name, Jane Doe and him. It's not 1963, my TV's color. I wanna say these days some people might have changed, but anyway, Avita's in. Just tell me why. Hey, get out on the ones that you love when you know that it hurts, 'cause there's trust and it breaks. So take time, take a little bit for my sake and decide if it's too late to grow up inside. My heart breaks every time. Everybody's in their own disguise. For my sake and decide if it's too late to grow up inside. My heart breaks every time. Everybody's in their own disguise. Ooh, 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 ooh. Everybody's in their own disguise. Ooh, 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 ooh. Everybody's in their own disguise. I saw on screen your face in me. Forget that in between the scenes, your trouble. I wanna say these days some people might have changed, but anyway, make lemonade. Just tell me why. Take it out on the ones that you love when you know that it hurts, 'cause there's trust and it breaks. So take time. My heart breaks every time. Everybody's in their own disguise. For my sake and decide if it's too late to grow up inside. My heart breaks every time. Everybody's in their own disguise. Ooh, 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 ooh. Everybody's in their own disguise. Ooh, 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 ooh. Everybody's in their own disguise. Ooh, 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 ooh. Everybody's in their own disguise. Everybody's in their own disguise. I just want to be your friend.
Oh, no way.
But I don't want nobody else. I've got.
Now the best thing's going to play because I didn't realize how far behind I was on that. Yeah, I'm a bit shocked I didn't have more to say about that one. I do apologize. It was shorter than I expected. But it was really nice to see so many people join on YouTube today. Don't really get that very often. Twitch and TikTok seem to be the places. I also apologize. Maybe I've been a bit low energy today. I mentioned before, super sleepy for some reason. But it really means the world to me that you guys tune into this. You care about the music, and you've obviously been listening. Like, it's a dream come true to get to write music and have it reach people all over the world. I never imagined a song like Disguise reaching over 2 million streams across platforms and stuff. It's mind-blowing, and a lot of you, I've been there since the beginning and stuck around, and that's really special because that support goes such a long way, and it means that I get to keep doing this, and hopefully I'll get to take it to a town near you. If anyone does want to support me in any other ways, I do have a Patreon where if you subscribe, you get a wax-sealed envelope newsletter every month, which is really pretty cool. And it's got stickers and behind-the-scenes stuff. It's called the SOCKiTTOME Clubhouse. You can also subscribe to a digital version if that's more affordable for you. But it all goes towards supporting me getting on an EU tour, which would be a dream country next year. It's happening whether you like it or not, but you can help make it happen sooner. On top of that, if you haven't already, join the Discord. Sus has been moderating today. Sus is awesome and is always there helping me out on these streams, and we're always like hanging out and chatting in the Discord. I'll come to Aberystwyth and you have to do the photography. I'll have a chat with the guys. It's a shame that Aberystwyth's more like west, isn't it? But I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can suss out. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Next live stream will be next Wednesday at 7 p.m. 6 p.m. 7 p.m. BST, and we're playing Murder House, and scared the poop out of me last week. And then since then, I cannot stop thinking about it. There was something really fun about the game and the aesthetic. So please do come and join me over there for the live stream. Keep me company because I get scared really easily. And it's really fun. It's another chance to hang out together. Otherwise, keep an eye out for my content. I'm always posting. Discover weekly videos on Monday. Breakdowns on Thursday. All sorts. You can even send in your suggestions for what kind of streams you want to see in the future over on the Discord. I love you all, SOCKiTTOME, and I will catch you in the next one. And yes, help. There's so many bees. I'll hit you up. Maybe Cardiff is definitely a lot more accessible. So is Swansea. So maybe over there. Take care. Love you all. See you in the disky.